All right, guys. So Jordan Peterson and Dave Rubin did a podcast, and Dave Rubin, he opens up about the fact that he's having kids. You know, there was pushback because he's a gay man, and almost all of his fans are conservative at this point, so they thought it was like a degenerate thing for him to have kids with his husband, etc. They are going to talk about this and similar surrounding issues, and this exchange is something.
And surgery. Right. And more than that, and here's another perverse element of this. So many legislatures around the world now have banned so-called conversion therapy. Conversion therapy. And to me, this has been a catastrophe. Now, I know that there was a small...
Banning conversion therapy has been a catastrophe. Banning conversion therapy has been a catastrophe. Now, this is a guy who just indicated when talking about Elliot Page that he thinks there should be no trans-affirming surgery. He seems to indicate that that's not a good idea. Perhaps it shouldn't be allowed. But deconversion therapy should be allowed. Watch. That's such an overreach. Even Rubin is going to push back a little bit. Watch this.
Percentage, mostly of fundamentalist Christian therapist types in the U.S. who were offering their services to homosexual people who were unhappy with their sexual orientation. And so you could have a discussion about whether that's ever appropriate or not, although I would say that's bloody well between the person and their therapist as far as I'm concerned. But now that's illegal. And it's...
Oh, now it's between a person and their therapist. Now it is. When it's something that objectively, empirically doesn't work at all and it's a total fraud and a scam, you're free to choose on that front. What about, trans youth making a decision between the parents, the kid, and their doctors? Is that something that's, hey, you're free to choose? Or is that like the state should get involved and ban that? And that's something which, by the way, is more effective than deconversion therapy. We're just asking questions here, Jordan.
Illegal to the point where you are required by the conditions of your psychological association, your professional associations, American Psychological Association, let's say, to affirm the stated identity of your client, which is completely insane.
And also very different. Affirming the stated identity of the client is very different than affirming that someone happens to be attracted to the same sex, right? Those are very different.
So in other words, gayness is okay, but trans stuff, that's a little kooky, isn't it? Thanks, Dave Rubin, for your for your contribution.
And things.
Well,
then affirming the gender identity.
You're not, as a therapist, your role isn't to affirm or to deny. It's to listen, right, and to explore. That's your purpose.
In all your years.
I think that's fair. That's a fair point.
Of clinical therapy and all the patients that you ever saw, I'm sure you saw dozens, if not hundreds, of gay patients. Did you ever meet a gay man who successfully de-gayed and then went on to live a completely functioning life?
No.
I never saw it. So, it is a scam. It is a sham. It is evangelical fundamentalist Christianity cloaked in like, we're being scientific here and we're just trying to help. But they should do it. Come on, dude. Come on. And this is the first and last time you guys are ever going to hear me say that. This credit to Dave Rubin for that very simple pushback, which sort of exposed the silliness of the position Peterson was espousing.
I did have a client who was questioning who went the heterosexual route.
Yeah.
Questioning who went the heterosexual route. I got news for you, Jordan. If indeed he did go the quote-unquote heterosexual route, he was bisexual. He was bisexual. That's what that means. I chose to go the heterosexual route. No, if you went that way and you genuinely did, then you're bisexual. Or the person's gay and they're lying and they're pretending they went the heterosexual route, but really they dream of dick all day long.
He was questioning under some duress because he was the target of somewhat unwanted amorous affections by a fairly persistent gay gentleman and this person was, I would say, easily swayed and confused. But that was the closest I'd ever seen to the situation that you're describing. Now, this conversion therapy issue is, so now you, as a therapist, you're ethically and legally bound not to question the identity of the stated identity of your client, which to me is preposterous because all you ever do as a therapist is question identity. That's the whole enterprise. And you don't do it affirming or denying. You really don't. You do it as a questioner and a strategist. But then we have the other conversion therapy, which is surgical conversion. And that's not only legal, but opposing it has become a crime. And so that's a form of insanity that I can just barely wrap my head around.
So what do we do going back to the conservatives that were worried that this is where we were going to end up? In some sense, I should probably be their greatest hero because it's like, here's someone who wanted to enter civilized society, wanted to affirm most of the long-fought, time-tested ideals, wanted to enter the world with those things, help defend that world. It happens to be a little different than we would think, right?
Yeah.
Okay, it's two guys. I can't deny it. I should sort of be a hero to them. It's not the ideal one that they went for, but it's approximately close enough that this should be pretty good. I suppose that will be my challenge in life.
Well,
Okay, this is incredible. So in other words, Dave Rubin is saying, look, I'm one of the good ones, right? I know that conservatives are generally against homosexuality and gay marriage, and they certainly were until very recently. But now, for the people who are pushing back on me with my marriage and my kids who are on the way, hey, I should be your hero because I'm affirming everything else about the lifestyle you think is correct. All the other traditions, the fact that marriage is a good thing and it builds a society and individualism is important. Hey, I affirm all those other things. The only area we disagree is that I'm gay. But so, like, look, I'm one of the good ones. And gay people like me, it's okay for us to get married. But, you know, and also in the context of this, he's sort of throwing trans people under the bus. Like, they're kooky, they've gone too far. But me, I'm good, right? Right? It's so sad. It's sad, man. It's sad. Oh, Jordan Peterson thinks deconversion therapy is all peachy, all fine and dandy, when it objectively does not work. It just does. It's not even like, that's the thing. To transition from one gender to another, with some percentage of people, I don't know the specifics, but with some percentage of people, that absolutely works. And I know because people have reached out to me who are trans, who listen to the show, who tell me exactly that. So that works. I don't know the numbers, but that works with some percentage of people. Gay conversion therapy has never worked ever. But he's cool with gay conversion therapy, but he, at the very least, heavily questions the notion of gender-affirming surgery. So there you have it. Not much else to say. If you want to see me and Crystal Ball interview legends like Noam Chomsky, Cornel West, and more, subscribe to Crystal, Kyle, and Friends on Substack. $5 a month gets you the video version a day early. Remember, we take 0 ad dollars for this podcast. Or you can sign up on Substack for free and get the audio version a day later. Link in the video description box below.